Everyone is responsible for their own bodies. Everyone can have perfect health if they want it.
Ian, it's great to have you on the podcast.
Nick, it's beautiful to be here, and it's going to be a great conversation today.
Yeah, you're one of the OGs in the health and wellness world, especially the natural health world. I've been following your work for quite a while. For people who haven't heard your name before, give us a breakdown of what got you into this world.
Well, the main thing that got me into it was by default, and it started 21 years ago when my body hit the wall at about 300 miles an hour. And I had, not physically, but health-wise, we ended up with a tumor in my perineum that grew very large. That took 7 years to get rid of. I refused all surgery. It's not that I'm against medical. I just knew they couldn't help me, and I was very concerned about the outcome that they would give and the things that they were trying to do to my body. And then I had heart disease, which is very typical. That's the number one killer in the world. Cancer is the second one. And then I had a big problem with my liver. And so it was like, hold it, why is all this happening? This is not supposed to be happening. I was 46 years old. I'm now 68. I'm healthier than I've ever dreamed possible. And yet I came from a very compromised place. So over the last 21 years, I started to learn the truth about how to take responsibility for your body, how to take care of yourself. What are the actual protocols? What are the lifestyle changes that have to be made? And how willing am I personally, and how willing are other people to actually take responsibility for their health? And my willingness had to go to the max, which it did. And I was willing to do anything and did do pretty much everything I was shown. And the results have been phenomenal. And I had no idea even where to start. So I was shown all these things over the last 21 years. I can't take credit for any of them. The only thing I can take credit for is actually doing what I was shown and then finding out that they worked or didn't work, depending on the protocols or the products.
Wow. Yeah. And you have an incredible before and after transformation photo that I've seen too.
Yeah. The before and after is rather intense. And but the thing is this. Everyone is responsible for their own bodies. Everyone can have perfect health if they want it, but you have to actually want it. And most people don't believe that you can have perfect health. And so that's the first barrier to entry. The second barrier to entry is people want to give responsibility to others and let them fix them. Fix me, give me the magic potion, give me the magic pill, give me the surgery, give me whatever. And that's okay. I mean, that's their decision. I'm not saying they can't do that or they shouldn't do that. I'm just saying that if you want to have the highest quality experience in your life, you're going to want to learn how your body works, because it's a really simple thing, but it's very deeply complex. But it's simple when you look at it from a common sense standpoint. And then you can realize, oh, okay, I can actually do this. I can take care of myself for the most part. Now, if you're in an accident or you get into triage situation, you have an emergency urgent care, that's totally different, right? We're not talking about that. There's a 5% chance that you could be killed in an accident, right? So it's a very low percentage. There's a 95% chance that you're just going to live your life and be pretty good and have a really good time. So it's all about feeling good, because nothing feels as good as feeling good. And how do you do that? And how do you make sure that none of these stupid things like cardiovascular disease or cancer or diabetes or doctor's misdiagnosis, right? These are the big killers, are going to ever hit you, or like a lung infection, respiratory disease, all that kind of stuff. Those are the big killers. So just staying away from that and then supporting your body's ability to have perfect health and go forward in that way without having to be a scientist. But you do want to be a wise individual who really actually gets how it works.
Yeah, and you're spot on there. I've seen so many people who are they have the credentials on paper and they look great academically, but then you look at their the way they're living and you look at the result on their mind and body, and it's perhaps there is still a disconnect that needs to be addressed here, and that if you address these, then you'll actually be a better test subject for your own experiments.
Yeah, that's right. And you've got to look at your body mathematically and logistically. You're a mathematical being. you breathe 11,000 liters of air a day. That's one mathematical equation you can do. So 11,000 liters a day means 4 million liters a year, means 40 million liters every 10 years. So how old are you right now, Nick?
30.
You're 30?
Yep.
Okay, so you breathe 120 million liters of air so far. I have breathed 280 million liters of air so far. So the air that you breathe, which you have to have, oxygen and nitrogen, it carries in with it all the pollution that is made of tire dust and brake dust and whatever. I don't want to list it all. It's very boring, but we know that there are quadrillions of nanoparticles in the air that we're breathing. And over your lifetime, you're going to accumulate them if you don't get rid of them. You cannot let them accumulate. But people never told you that you can't let it accumulate. They never told you how to get rid of the accumulation and then how to maintain whatever comes in today, leaves today. And so people build up, and as the older they get, the more disease symptoms they get, the more congested they become, the more plugged up, right? And then the greater potential for health problems and the earlier the death. So you have to, deal with these real mathematical, logistical things that you must do physically in order to maintain a high level health. And so it's not like, oh, I hope that I don't, it's like a Russian roulette. Hope that the chamber doesn't have the bullet in it when I pull the trigger, right? You don't want to have any bullets in the chamber at all. So you can put the gun to your head and pull it as many times as you want. It's never going to go off. That's how many bullets you want in the chamber. So, it's not a Russian roulette situation, but the point is you have to mathematically deal with this stuff. And you have 5 liters of blood, 5 liters of lymphatic fluid, and about 80 to 90% of your body is made up of fluid, which is either interstitial, outside the cell, or inside the cell. And that fluid gets contaminated, and that fluid circulates throughout your body. Your blood touches every cell every 60 seconds, every single day. Every minute, all your blood touches every cell. So it's delivering the oxygen and the nitrogen. It's delivering nutrients from the food you've eaten to every cell in your body. And it's supposed to also carry away the waste.
Yeah.
The problem is the blood's getting contaminated from what you're breathing. And you might eat clean and drink good fluids and exercise and do all that stuff. But if you're not dealing with what you're breathing in, you're going to get a default eventually, like I did.
Yeah.
And then I started to learn, okay, well, how do I deal with it? How do I produce more blood? Okay, so you got to take ocean minerals in water. You get clean water, you put concentrated ocean minerals that are clean without microplastics, without heavy metals, and you drink it every single day. And that's the raw material your bone marrow uses to make plasma. So you start producing a very high volume of blood, clean, fresh blood. And the younger you are, the more blood you produce. The older you are, the less blood you produce, because your bone marrow is atrophying. It's going away on you because you're not using it. It's like a muscle you don't use. It'll diminish and shrink, and you'll get muscle atrophy, right? So it's the same with your bone marrow. So if you're 20 years old listening right now, and you start putting the ocean minerals in your water, your bone marrow will never atrophy, because that's the raw material your body needs to make plasma. And because you're 20, you're going to be producing lots of plasma anyway, because 100% of your bone marrow is dark red. So I found out about this when I was 64 years old. So about 65% of my bone marrow had turned from dark red to yellow. And that yellow bone marrow does not produce blood properly. It does not produce stem cells. Would I wish I would have found out at 20? Yes. So the earlier you find out about this, the better, because then you stop the deterioration of bone marrow from red to yellow. Now you're going to produce lots of stem cells, and you can see it in the world. A 20-something-year-old pro athlete recovers pretty fast.
Yeah.
A 30-something pro athlete recovers a lot slower, and a 40-something pro athlete is usually retired. And that's because nobody told them to keep their bone marrow dark red, and nobody told them to produce more blood, and they don't produce enough stem cells to recover fast enough, so they're out of the game. Because if you can't recover as fast as a 20-year-old, the 20-year-old is going to kick your butt.
Yeah.
So you want to maintain it. So simple. And then that's the dynamic part of drinking the ocean minerals in the water. Now we call that restore trace. It's like trace restore, but the new name is really restore, because you're restoring the minerals that were never properly in your food, because the food doesn't have the minerals you need to produce blood. It only has a little bit.
Yeah.
So you produce a little bit of blood every day. So that would be the first place that a person would start, is focus on the blood system, because your life is in your blood. Your life energy is literally inside your blood. And if your blood runs out, what happens? You're dead. You're gone. That's it.
Yeah.
You're not going to survive if your blood runs out. And the air you breathe, you can hold your breath for 8 minutes and still be awake. Then you'll pass out. But if your blood stops pumping for 8 seconds, you're passed out that quickly. So your heart is the resource hog for oxygen. Your brain is the next resource hog for oxygen. So you got to keep these fuels moving, and we take it for granted. Everyone takes their health for granted. I took my health for granted. And you know what? If I say, no, I don't take my health for granted, well, then I'm probably lying to myself, because I still think I take my health for granted in areas that I don't know yet. I don't think I've taken full responsibility yet. I've taken a lot of responsibility, but I always think I have a long ways to go. I'm giving myself that option. I still think I have a long ways to go. And I kind of think we're just getting started right now. And we're starting to learn the truth about the most important stuff that no one's talking about. People are not talking about this stuff. We're talking about repairing the house, but the house is on fire, right? So you got to get the fire out, and then you go and you repair the house, and you start at the foundation of the house, and then you start to look at the framing and all the different parts of the house post foundation. Because if you're fixing a house on top of a weak foundation, you're going to ask for trouble, and it's not going to work out very well for you. So that's, it's all common sense stuff.
Yeah. And what I like about your approach too is that you mentioned it's very important to have clean cells before you actually start introducing more stuff. And it's like, if you think about a gummed up cell that can't actually eliminate the waste, and it just accumulates over time because the body doesn't have the resources needed to run all of the organ systems, the detoxification system, you're trying to add more things, and it's not going to accept them until you address the gunk that's clogging up the cells. And then if you don't do anything, because of, as I saw in one of your videos, many things, but especially brake dust, like that's just one thing you mentioned. Like before I watched your video, I wondered, how could brake dust be affecting me? I'm like not near a freeway or anything. But then I realized it actually, you explain it much more eloquently than I do, but it goes up into the jet stream, is it? And then comes down all around the road.
Yeah, well, every single thing that is coming off of a vehicle, whether it's brake dust, tire dust, fuel, unburnt fuel, doesn't matter. It's all nanoparticulate. If you're right there on the highway, you can smell it. That means the concentration is very high. But when you go to they took helicopters, it took 1.5 miles up before they ran out of these dust particles, which are nano. They kept taking air samples. It takes $1 million electron microscope to look and see these nanoparticles, and they look like little razor blades. But you can't see them, taste them, or smell them, but they're in the quadrillions of volume level. And it's from the motion of the highways at 70 miles an hour, you get the Venturi effect of all this suction of the air. Like a big truck goes by, you're going on a highway, it moves your car, right? So there's a lot of forces there. And so it's going up everywhere, but then it just blows everywhere. All the trade winds take the particles everywhere, all over the food we eat, all over the fields, up to the top of mountains, the bottom of lakes. It's everywhere, and we're breathing it. So we're not ever free from those things. There's no filter that's strong enough to get that stuff out. And we become the filters. We become the accumulators of that stuff, which is ridiculous. And that way we know we have to get it out. You have to get it out through your bowels. You get it out through breath work. You get it out through sweating, sauna work. Could be red light therapy, whatever. But you got to get it out. And mainly you get it out by producing more clean blood on a 24-hour basis. And then that goes out to your bowels.
Simple enough. I mean, do you recommend, based on your answer, I'm going to say probably yes, air filtration in the home and other stuff to help at least reduce levels of all these different contaminants that are coming into contact with us every day?
Yeah, well, air filtration in the house is very important, because you can get different ionic type of filters, and and ozone filters and that kind of thing. And that gets rid of the macro particles. It also gets rid of different things that cause estrogens. There might be plastics in your house you got to get rid of, depending on how ecologically friendly your house is. But yeah, as much as you can filter the air, but these nanoparticles, you're subjected to it all the time. As soon as you walk outside, you're not going to wear a filter on your face. You know, if you were in Beijing or New Delhi, where you've got these known glass particles breathing in the air all day long from the textile industries, yeah, you better have a mask on, because that will stop those glass particles, because they go in and they're not coming out because they get embedded. But we're not living in those areas. And of course, I don't think I'm going to move there anytime soon. But the point is, you're going to be outside, you're going to be breathing, you're going to be driving around, and you're going to be subjected to these things. So you just take advantage of the things that you now know on how to get it out. And you've got to mechanically remove all these particles as well. And you can instantly see your body accumulating this stuff, invisible things on your skin, because there's a thing called the activator. And it's where you activate every meridian in your body, but you also activate every cubic inch of flesh in your body to simply release that which is stored up. You activate the fascia. Your fascia holds a massive amount of energy and communication technology that is also communicating with your muscles. And so all these things have to get released. You get a buildup of all these nanoparticles in the fascia, the connective tissue, the joints, the muscles, just everything in your body. You got to get it out, and you got to get it out mechanically. That's from the outside in. So you do the dynamic from the inside out with the ocean mineral concentrate in the water. You get it from the outside in with percussion, frequency, and vibration. And if you look on the charts for the meridian pathways in your body that are well known, and they're all tied together, you got to use percussion on every one of those eventually to do your entire body to release everything. So those are the two main things that I have learned about and tell people about that no one really knows about, but they have to know, you have to know. And so once you're shown, it's up to you what you do with it. When I was shown, I didn't like the idea. I really didn't. It's like, I got to drink ocean minerals and water. What's that going to be like? And I've got to use this percussion instrument called the activator on the external part of my body. And the treatments are going to make a reaction. I don't think I'm going to like that too much. And I didn't like it. And then I loved it, because once I got results from it, then I realized why I was to do something like this, why I was being shown. And it radically changed every part of my dynamics in the body, from mechanical problems to literal dynamic issues. And my health just kept going up and up the longer I did the treatments. And that started in 2017.
Yeah, I think the ocean minerals are an easier place to start. And then once someone has a little experience with that and a little more ambition, they can go on to the activator. I've seen a video of it, a couple videos of it. It's a lot more intense. I'll put a link to those in the description. But I think that if you're ready for the next level, could be worth exploring.
Yeah, it's all about encouragement and being encouraged. So when you encourage yourself, you have to gain courage, like you're storing courage in a bank account. Whenever you've done anything, like a mountain climber, right? They never start climbing the sheer lift, free solo, and El Capitan, right? There's no way, they'll die, right? So they start and they build courage and strength and skill down on the smaller, maybe in a rock climbing gym or someplace where they're safe, and they've got all the tethers on, and they got safety nets, and they're getting their skill level up, and that's where they start. And you build courage. And it's essential to build courage, because you do need that to spend. Now, these things really don't cost much money. So people think they could buy their way into health. Well, I've seen, in the last 36 months, more than 230 multi-billionaires have lost their bodies in debt for a reason, because they don't know how to take care of their body. And your body and their body and our bodies are our number one most important valuable asset, because our bodies are attached to everything. But our body wants to control us. So the next phase psychologically, right, is mentally and emotionally taking control of your body, becoming your body's mentor, becoming your body's trainer, becoming your body's teacher, becoming your body's overall practitioner. And your body is going to go, no, I don't want to do that. I don't like how that tastes. I don't like how that feels. Stop that right now. And the body is misbehaving because it is used to being comfortable. It is used to having no pain. It doesn't like pain. It doesn't like suffering. It doesn't like something that makes it uncomfortable. And so then right away, your body's going to tell you to stop. But you are not your body. Your body is a big part of you, but you're not your body, and your body is not you. And so I learned over time that my body was very irresponsible, and it wanted to eat fast food, and I had to stop it from eating fast food, and my body would throw temper tantrums with migraine headaches and gut aches. And then I finally told my body, you want to get into a scrap? I'm stronger than you are. Bring it on. Bring the headaches on. Bring the gut aches. Throw your temper tantrums. And it would do that. And I would say, like, is that all you got? I'm way stronger than that. I could kick your butt. You think you're kicking my butt? And it was kicking my butt. But it wasn't kicking my butt as hard as, and so I stopped my body from being allowed to do the things that it wanted to do that were harmful to it. And I would talk to my body like it was another person. But my body it finally came under subjection to me. It was like, okay, now my body's starting to be obedient. It's realizing that I'm right and that the things that I'm going to do are going to be helpful and that the body is going to kill itself if it's allowed to. It would be like, a heroin addict or a crack cocaine addict. I was never that, of course, but it's the same thing. The body is demanding the next hit. And the being living inside the body is going to lose the body if they keep doing this. They run out of money, they run out of resources, they run out of energy, and the body fails, and then they die of an overdose or they die of simple exhaustion. So the body is irresponsible. It does not have the right to make demands, and you have to take over your body. So that's the psychological war that you're at with your body. And then once you have your body dialed in and it's obedient, then you can listen to your body signals. If it tells you, hey, I'm hungry for this, that may mean you need those minerals or elements or whatever it is. But until the body is under subjection and detoxified, it really can't be listened to. The activator, for example, the treatments, everyone says, well, those treatments cause pain. Well, no, they don't cause pain. They actually release pain. If they cause pain, that would be ridiculous. It would be like beating yourself with a hammer. That would cause pain. That's damaging. The activator does no damage, and it does not cause pain, yet there is pain involved in the first treatment because your body's full of pain already. So when it releases the pain, you go do the exact same treatment in the same area. 6 months later, 1 year, 5 years, 10 years later, you're not going to get the pain there. It's not going to cause pain. Therefore, it doesn't cause pain. And that's what people have to get their head around. If your body is full of pain, you've got to get the pain out. People call it inflammation. It's like your house is on fire, but it's only a minor fire in the back room, so people don't pay attention to it. It's like, no, there's a fire in the house. Pay attention to it because it's going to burn the whole house down eventually. So there are fires burning in different areas. It may be cardiovascular. It might be detoxification. It could be your endocrine system. Could be your autonomic nervous system, maybe your central nervous system, all these different systems that can have little fires burning. And those fires are called inflammation. That's why it's called inflammatory, because it's a flame internally, an inside flame. So if you have inflammation at stage 0, you don't feel it at all because it doesn't exist. Inflammation at stage 1, 2, you're not going to feel immediately at all. Stage 3 inflammation, you're going to feel that. You're going to be uncomfortable. It's going to be painful. Stage 4 inflammation, you're usually going to pass away because nobody can take stage 4 inflammation for very long. And then they just want to die. So you got to get your inflammation to stage 0. That's really the first step. Get that done. Get the fire out. Now you're going to start being able to repair the house. So these are, again, simple principles.
It'd be fascinating to see the impact that the activator and that type of therapy has on like traditional blood labs or other types of like markers of inflammation and aging and everything.
Well, that's a really good point, because if you're not measuring How are you going to manage? So there's all kinds of technology out there now. You go into the medical world, they do blood panels, they do ECGs, EKGs, they do all kinds of different scans, MRIs, CT scans, ultrasound, thermal. There's all these different ways that the medical world measures, which is more on the surface level. And that's just telling you, hey, you got a problem here, you got a problem there from the medical world. But there's a much deeper level of measurement. And it's sophistication levels of measurement that comes out of Europe primarily. So I recently ran into a gentleman who spent the last 21 years, since 2004, developing all of the combined technology for biofeedback. And that biofeedback technology is now so advanced, he can tell everything about every cell in your body in all the different systems simultaneously. And what he's discovered is that the cells have a certain capacity level. So the cellular capacity is the capacity to produce energy, the capacity to detoxify, the capacity to do DNA repair, to produce hormones, to produce stem cells, to produce peptides, all those things. That's a capacity level. And the capacity needs to be above, the best thing would be above 2,500. Anything above 1,400 is pretty good. If you're below 700, it's not good. And he's measuring people who are very ill. Their capacity is below 70. And that means that they're just days or weeks away from passing away. And so cellular capacity has to be improved. That's energetically improved. You can't just say, oh, I've got low cellular capacity and I'm going to eat all the best food and I'm going to take all the best elements. That's like putting fuel into a car that won't start, right? So that isn't going to work. So you have to bring the cellular capacity up. And then another measurement is the immune system's strength. So the immune system should be above 250, preferably. If it's down below 100, it's dangerous. If it's down around 50, 60, it's extremely dangerous. That means that the body really has no ability or strength to fight off all these things that could do damage or infect the body with invasive species, whether it's microbials or virus, whatever they want to call it. So when you're measuring the body, you have to know where you are at, and then you have to know how to increase those numbers significantly if you're down. So the older people get, the more down they are. Then when you combine the energy input where you're literally recharging your body, then you can bring in the nutrients and the elements and the detox. All those things will work 10 times better. And then the capacity increases faster. So I've watched this go on. It's fascinating for sure. But it's a much deeper level of measurement.
Yeah. Do you know what technology, you said biofeedback. Do you know like what specifically, if anyone's curious? I'm curious. I want to look more into his methodology and his technology.
Well, that's a combination of interstitial scanning. So interstitial fluid is all the fluid in between the cells. And the cells are constantly communicating with each other. It doesn't matter what cell it is. They're communicating with each other. And inside that area, which is the extracellular fluid, which is interstitial fluid, they can put an energy through that, through the hands and the feet, and through the head, through the ears, by sending signals and getting a feedback on those signals to tell what level of communication and what the signals are. So this study is done from over 700,000 patients in the last 21 years, where they were tracking all the data on all those people, all the different races, nationalities, history, gender, right, age, all those things were tracked. And then they have millions of tissue samples that have a specific signature to them. And each signal is going to come back, is that a healthy tissue, or what level of health that tissue is at? And so there's a signal that's sent out in a rebounding feedback that tells this equipment where that tissue is at. So, or what that type of tissue is going to be communicating. So it's a combination of a whole bunch of sophisticated things. I've seen tons of biofeedback devices over the time. Another one I really like is called the BioWell. The
Oh,
BioWell
yeah.
is you're familiar with that?
Yeah, I saw them at an event here in Austin recently.
Right. Yeah, I was at the same event and saw them, and I met the gentleman who runs that company. Super intelligent guy, and they're using it's like measuring the Kirlian photography thing, but it's the energy measuring off your fingers, and it's a very clear energy, and it's actually data driven, and it's got clinicals behind it showing the validity of the accuracy of the information, so that then you can know what to prioritize and target rather than just sort of hitting it at a general.
Do all these fall under the umbrella of bioenergetic testing?
Yes. Yeah, this is
Gotcha.
all under that umbrella because your body is sending out signals 24 hours a day, and your auric field is huge. And so having devices that can pick up those signals, even in the medical world, they got an EKG and an ECG, and that's measuring signals that are constantly producing from your body, that they have sensitive enough devices to be able to read that. So it's a similar idea, only it's much more sophisticated, much deeper level.
Yeah, that makes sense. Are these at all related to your 3 master keys of health?
Well, the master keys there's actually multiple master keys, and then there's master keys. So if you look into the health world, the nutritional world, the protocols, the modalities, the technologies, there's literally thousands, if not now millions of different things that people are told that they can do. And just to look at the last 20 years, it's been an explosion of supplement companies, technology companies, and they all have things that they say you need. And they all say that they have the best of the best, right? I haven't met a company yet that doesn't say they have the best. And so we're all like that. But the problem is that you have to be able to discern what are the highest priorities, what are the most important things you can start with. And then you find out that there's ways of eliminating an entire problem that is within a system. So let's just take cardiovascular, for example. There's all kinds of things that can happen within the cardiovascular system. It might be plugged arteries, plaque that's building up, stiffened arteries, electrical information that's getting out of sequence and causing palpitations, or the pacemaker is not working properly, or microcirculation is actually plugged right up. You can't get blood to the extremities, and you get neurological issues. That is the problem. And so if you eliminate the problem entirely with a particular master key that makes it very simple, you don't need the thousands of keys that people are going to supply to you with all these symptoms that have to be dealt with. So that's the real challenge, is to make sure that you're not chasing symptoms, but you're going after the core problem. And then once the problem's getting rid of, that's the master key. Gets rid of all the 1,000 keys that are required otherwise.
The irony about those 1,000 keys too is those 1,000 keys that descend from the master key tend to be much more limited in scope and benefit, and the cost is exponentially higher oftentimes than the more high-level master keys.
Oh yeah, it's like intensely expensive. So the main thing that people get overwhelmed with is when they see all the stuff that they're told they should do, is immediate overwhelm. Where are they going to have the time? It's the first, people don't have time to chase their tail all day long. It's like they go to the practitioner and they say, you need $1,500 worth of supplements. And they go around the store and they pick all the supplements for them, and they got this grocery cart full of stuff. And they're all excited because you need this and you need that for that. And they're like, oh, this is awesome. And they spend all the money. And then they get home and then they realize, hold it. Whoa, that's like a little much. When I was hearing about one at a time, it was okay. But when I have 150 things in my cart, that's a big issue. And so it's time. Then there's energy that's around that. Then there's your effort level. And then it's the money you're going to spend, which is coming from resources. So it's time, energy, effort, and money. And so my goal, starting 21 years ago, because that's when my journey started in 2004, it was to find out the simplest, most effective way that costs the least amount of time, energy, and money to get the maximum return without taking any shortcuts, but getting the maximum return on the effort. And when I first started, it was total overwhelm. because I was meeting everybody and everybody's telling me all this stuff. And so what I asked to be led to people who had the definitive information, where it was the top level, highest priority. Where do we really start? What is the real problem? And how do I focus on those things to get me to a better place faster without having to jump through 1,000 hoops?
Yeah.
And so that took time. And then in 2017, the first master key that showed up was the activator, but it was in the form of my hand. I'd use my hand as the activator because I didn't know you get a tool for that. And so I just used my hands, and it worked really, really well to start with. But it was a lot of time, effort, and energy, and it didn't work as deeply and as quickly as it did once I found out about the tool. So that's what I call a master key, because that is removing the problem, one of the core problems, off all systems simultaneously. But it's the least popular. It's visually repulsive. It's physically like,
Yeah.
And so I thought, well, isn't that a paradox? The thing that's going to work the most, is going to help you the most, is as the highest barrier to entry.
Yeah.
It really does. And then, but once you get over that barrier to entry and you get into that space, then you realize actually that was no problem at all. I get that now. That was actually way simpler than I thought it was. It was the most effective thing I've ever done in my life.
Wow.
It worked on every single level in every single category. And now it's my responsibility to tell the world, oh, great. Okay. So I'm not going to win any popularity contests with this one. I might get a few million views, but people are going to be going like, what is that? What's going on there?
Yeah.
Why would they do that? Well, you have to ask the questions. Why? I think the number one question is why. I would never tell anybody to use the activator on their body if it didn't have an extremely profound result that was going to benefit them every single time. So it's the only treatment that I've ever seen that benefits every single person, every single time, 100%, whether it's repairing an injury, getting the body back to a youthful state with the structure in the joints, getting all the organs released, getting everything reactivated.
Wow.
Because have you ever gone and looked at the charts where they show all the meridians?
Yes.
So those charts are pretty intense, right? Those are
Yeah.
very complicated charts, but when you look at the body, really it's simple because they lay it all out for you. So you have to activate every one of those meridians. Now you could go to an acupuncturist and they can stick the needles in those acupuncture points, and it will take years and years of going and going and going. And eventually you might have activated all those points. But when you use the activator, it takes 5 minutes and you've done the entire activation of that one area permanently. And it doesn't cost money. And it only takes 5 minutes. So it's the low risk, high return
Yeah.
is what you want. You don't want high risk, low return. High risk, low return for me was to go to a doctor, get cut open, get the tumor dug out of my body, get on the heart meds and the blood thinners and all the other stuff and the statins and whatever else they would want to do, and the diuretics for blood pressure and all these insane things that people stack up. It's like their little medical tech stack. And then they sit at the coffee shop in their 60s and 70s and compare each other's like, what are you taking? Well, this is what I take. You know, this is like a competition to see who can get the most drugs stacked onto themselves the older they get, because it's a conversation piece. No, you don't need any of those drugs. There's not a single one of those drugs you actually need unless you don't know how to deal with that symptom. Then you need the drug, because you might die if you don't get that drug, because you don't know how to deal with the problem to get rid of the problem. So this is, again, going back to simple mathematics and you becoming super knowledgeable about who you are and what you're to do and why you're to do it. And if you believe something that is not true, belief is the enemy of knowing.
Yeah.
Right. Because I would be deceived in that area thinking I know something to be true, but it's actually the opposite. And if people are watching mainstream media, they're going to be flooded with all of the lies that are half truths, right? They're only half true. And so which half is true and which half is the lie? So you have to go to 100% truth. And that's where you get the truth coming into your body, and then you see the results right away. So again, I'm talking about a lot of psychological stuff here, a lot of mental stuff, a lot of emotional stuff that transfers into the physical well-being of your body. It's like you coach people. So the coaching, as a lot of that is spiritual, mental, emotional, right? It's not just physical.
Yeah. Well, everyone also knows like the basic tenets of healthy living, and it's not the lack of knowledge that's ever an issue for people. Maybe in rare circumstances, it's like actually translating that into meaningful behavior change. And when you start exploring that, then you realize, oh, it's because of the other like planes of existence. It's not just the physical.
Right. Yeah. It's all, I mean, we're a holistic being of spirit, mind, energy, motion, physical, domestic, financial, environmental. There's all these categories we live in that are all tied into each other. And we want to have the optimal possible given the circumstance, because we're dumped into this world of pretty interesting dynamics that are compromising us. And so I can't blame that. I can't say, well, you know, the world's pretty rough and, you know, not much I can do about it. No, there's everything you can do about it. That's the cool thing.
Yeah.
You can actually take actions. And I've been shown many things in my life that have taken me some time to take action on. I go like, what's wrong with me? Why am I not taking action sooner? Like I'm not fast enough on the uptake. Sometimes I'll have to see things 2 or 3 times before I go, oh, right, okay, I got to bring that in. I got to actually pay attention to that. It's really weird. And I'm one of the more advanced people who are doing more than anyone else around me in my age group. And even I am compromised in that area and realize, hey, you got to get, you know, don't just say, yeah, that's a really cool thing. Find out if it is and implement it. And then you find out how it works. So, you know, the whole coaching thing, you really do also need to become your own coach because you're coaching your own body in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And so a lack of knowledge is the first problem if you don't know what to do. But then the knowledge that is now available, like you said, knowledge is abundantly available. They get all these biohacking conferences and all these high-level wellness coaches and people who are sharing a lot of information more than ever. So we do have access to really, really good info. We just have to discern what's the most important place to start and prioritize. So that's where it comes back to the measuring and really knowing where you are right now.
Yeah. Ian, you mentioned in your journey that like there's a lot of information coming at you and you had to quickly figure out how to discern what is valid for me and helpful here. What are the master keys? And this day and age, decades after your initial, 2 decades, more than 2 decades after your initial like entrance into the world of health, it seems like there's only more information now and more confusion, more division because there's like more and more stuff coming out. How did you back then figure out what was worth trying and exploring and what was either potentially going to have a low ROI or just not be something that you want to explore because it's like one of the sub keys way down the list?
Well, it would be, you know, very interesting if I could tell you, Nick, that I figured it all out, that I found out who had the best information, that I discerned it all and I calculated it all and I figured it all out. But that would be the biggest lie ever. And I know that when I first started, I realized I woke up one morning and knew that there were people on this earth who had done lifetimes of research into each category of health and that they had the top knowledge. They had the most important information. And so that gave me an immediate hope. It was like, yeah, that's true. Of course it's true. But how do you find them? Well, you're not going to find them because it's a world of, they say, 8 billion people.
Yeah.
There's millions of people in the health space. I was in a 36-month time window to be able to learn enough in that 36 months to be able to survive 60 months. And then I needed that 60 months to survive 15 years and 15 years to survive 50. And so I didn't have time to play around. I didn't have any money at that time. I had to go and borrow money, which was very high stress.
Yeah.
And I realized that I could have all the money in the world, that I would never find these people. So I immediately stopped and I asked out loud to be led. I just said, I know I can't find them. I'm just asking by grace to be led to these individuals. And I'm not demanding it. I'm just saying if I could find favor and, be led, I would love that. And if I'm led to them, I need eyes to see them because it'll go right over my head. I mean, people can meet you, Nick, and you have all this vast knowledge, but if they don't stop and take some time and inquire and get to know you, they're not going to know who you are.
Yeah.
Right. So they would miss you altogether. So I wanted to have eyes to see them and go, oh, there's something here. This is an important person. And have ears to hear what they said to me so I could begin understanding why they're talking to me about this, why this is so important. And then I made a statement. I'm willing to do whatever it takes if I'm shown something. That's it. I'm willing to do whatever it takes. And that was the most daunting thing that I said because I didn't know what was going to be required of me. And it kind of scared me a little bit.
Yeah.
And it was almost like I heard a voice, and I didn't hear a voice, but it was like I heard a voice say to me, we'll see about that. We'll see. Right. And that's true because I might say that I'll do whatever it takes, but when I'm shown, we'll prove it. And so that's how it started. It was very slow. I met just enough people soon enough that I started to clean up the intake. I started to get into mineralization. I found out about marine phytoplankton. I found out about that in 2006 because the journey started in 2004. As soon as I found out about marine phytoplankton, I was immediately inspired to consume it. And as soon as I started consuming it, I started noticing that my body's energy started to go up. And after about 3 months of that, it felt like I'd completely charged up the battery inside my body and that I had abundance of energy, but there was no stimulants. And so that was an eye opener. So that was the beginning of the resetting of my body.
So in the resetting of your body, were you taking you're remineralizing already, and then you added that on top and sometimes doing activations in between there?
Well, the interesting thing was I started learning about the concentrated ocean minerals before I learned about the marine phytoplankton. Then I combined the two of them because the concentrated ocean minerals stabilizes the fresh marine phytoplankton so it doesn't lose its energy when you process it. It doesn't require any processing. It's just raw, stabilized. So combining those two, that's what made the difference. I was struggling. I mean, I got into, clean eating starting in 2005, 2006, and then going to 2007, found out about super nutrients that are far above other things. Marine phytoplankton is the top nutrient in the world because they have every nutritional molecule in it known to all historical data. And it is the heirloom strains that are perfectly compatible with the human body. So the only way you can know it's true is by consuming it, and then you watch your energy levels go up and up and up. And that's how you know.
If it's the top nutritional substance in the world, why has most of the world never heard of marine phytoplankton?
Well, the only reason that no one had heard of it at that time is because it was actually brand new. And this is a weird paradox. Whenever I heard about something myself, I thought that everybody was hearing about it. But no, I'm in a very niche channel with the top level people in the world with the most sophisticated information. And I'm the only one hearing about it at that point. And so the reason that people even today don't hardly know about marine phytoplankton is because we haven't got the message out far and wide at the levels that we should have. That's the challenge. And so I realized then, this is back in 2007, I started telling people. I told people in Canada, they'd never heard of it. They go, well, if it was so important, I would have heard of it. I go, no, it's brand new. Just try it. They wouldn't even try it. A couple of people tried it, but nobody of any significance that could help me get the word out there. So I went to California. I was told, go to California, go to the Expo West, March 2007 in Anaheim. It's a big, huge natural product show. Yep. I went there and ran into some raw food hippies, told them about it. They got all excited and go, what is this stuff? Let me try it. And right away, they had the instant reaction that they go, is this stuff even legal? Or am I supposed to feel this good that fast? I go, it's totally legal. This is heirloom molecules of nutrition with all the elemental stuff. And right away they go, where do we get it? And I realized, hey, they want to get this stuff and I could get this for them. I'm in Canada. I had access to it. So I started selling it to them. And I was just selling it at wholesale. In the first 24 months between 2007 and 2009, we did 2.4, it was actually 2.8 million total retail sales.
Wow.
In the first 24 months. I didn't get the 2.8 million. We got 1/3 of that because we were selling it to them for 1/3 the price that they were selling it for. And so, but it was a significant amount of money that when it came in, I just kept reinvesting it into learning more, to understanding more, to finding out, hey, if this is good, what else is there? And that's what started the business. And I didn't have a company. We never really formed the company until 2014, 7 years later, where then we took it very seriously and we had momentum and we got all the certifications and registered with every possible agency, which is what you have to do if you're going to be a natural products manufacturer in Canada or in the US. And it was a very intense thing. So I just kept adding things on as I learned about them. But marine phytoplankton was the base then, and it's still the base now.
Beautiful. So you mentioned that it contains every element within it, I think. What else makes it so special? Like, I'm sure there's other things, maybe not, that contain lots of elements, but like there's more to the synergy of marine phytoplankton than just containing every element.
Right. Yes. The combination that's coming naturally from creation. So these are heirloom strains. There's 2 of them. And each of those strains is being studied for the biocompatibility of the human body. So naturally, human nutritional profile is the key, because otherwise, like, there's all kinds of marine phytoplankton in the ocean that has no value to the human body at all. And most of it's not even digestible. So we're talking about all the essential amino acids, all the electrolytes, all the plant minerals, pigments, nutrients that your body produces DNA, creates vitamins from, all of the energy that comes from it, because that's the foundational food for the whole ocean. If you took that food out of the ocean, which is the bottom of the food chain, the entire ocean would die. And it also produces 90% of the oxygen we breathe every single day, because it's absorbing the CO2 and producing the oxygen. So all they did was just go and they did a 40-year study to find out what all the different strains do, whether it's for biofuels, aquaculture, fish farms, human nutritional, whatever. And they then put an operation on land called a photobioreactor, using real ocean water, real sunlight, in a nurtured environment that is purified ocean water with pure CO2 injected in there. They keep the pH perfect and the temperature perfect. And the marine phytoplankton thinks it's in a spring bloom at all times. And it just continuously reproduces itself. And it takes 90 days to harvest the concentrated marine phytoplankton, which traditionally they freeze dry, which is actually pretty good because it stabilizes it for a couple of years. But when they concentrate it in the paste and don't freeze dry it, that's what we put into these concentrated ocean minerals that instantly stabilizes it and it doesn't go off. That took quite a while to figure out and to develop and to prove that it actually stabilized it. But we have samples from 18 years ago that are still as fresh as the day they were made. That's how stable it is.
Amazing. And so what are like the things that people report? You were talking about like the role of phytoplankton and oxygenation. And it makes me wonder if like when humans consume it, if we're getting oxygenation, increased oxygenation as well.
Yeah, well, we are definitely going to be putting oxygen into our system through the chlorophylls and through all these different things that are going in, because it's loaded with chlorophyll and it's loaded with nutritional energy, but to really say, hey, we're going to, you're going to get more oxygen inside the cell at a level that's going to make a huge difference. I haven't done any tests on that. I can't prove that that's the case. I wouldn't know what the ratios are. All I know is that my body gets energized every single day by consuming it. When I consume it, and the more I consume it, the more energy I get. And there's days where I'm relaxed and I don't use massive brain power, so I don't need a ton of it. But if I'm doing a lot of work where there's a lot of brain power, I have to take more to supply the energy, because brain power is using a lot of bandwidth. I mean, it's a major resource hog, your brain, and also your whole system. So the more stress you're under, the more nutrients you need, because the more you're burning that fuel. And the cool thing about the marine phytoplankton, it's the cleanest fuel out there. I mean, it does not leave a bunch of smoke behind when you're using it, whereas many foods are highly inflammatory. And so I stay away from, I don't like high glycemic carbs at all. And I tend to go, low carb. And this thing has no carbs per se, like no measurable carbs that you're ever going to worry about. So I like things that give you energy without the carbohydrate factor.
Yeah. Okay. And then what are the other things people report from using it? Like, does it have any other notable effects on the body, whether it's aesthetically or performance or longevity? Because I talked to a lot of people and they're like, oh yeah, I tried minerals at one point. And obviously this is much more than just a source of minerals. It's not like a bio-incompatible form like magnesium oxide. Like, you're not going to feel anything from magnesium oxide except maybe a laxative effect. So how does this stack into a routine? Like maybe your ocean minerals to begin with, and then you layer this on top?
Yeah, well, the ocean mineral concentrate, you put in the water so you get that throughout the day. So that's the raw material that your bone marrow uses to produce blood. The Oceans Alive, we call it recharge now, right? Oceans Alive recharge is having the food side. So the actual nutrients that are called nanonutrients and micronutrients, and there's some macronutrients in it as well, but it's primarily trace, micro, nano. And those are the nutrients that just flood your body like the whole orchestra playing at once, instead of trying to find, well, I've got to eat this, and this. It's like a functional foundational layer of nutrients that are guaranteeing to fill every single gap that your body would otherwise possibly have if you didn't eat certain foods or take certain supplementation. This displaces much of what is supplemented out there, because supplements are trying to, it's like those notes of an orchestra. If you go to the symphony, you got the orchestra playing, you got 1,000 notes at once or 1,000,000 notes at once. And you want to just have the story be told all at once. You don't want to have to figure, I got to take this note and then put it together with that note. So it makes things a lot simpler. And that's where the energy of your body is going to come up, because your body doesn't have to figure it out. It's figured out for you. And that's why it feels like your battery gets charged up, because it really does. Because you do have an internal battery inside every cell. That's called mitochondrial energy, or ATP. So this is supplying energy, nutrients, and power to the mitochondria of every cell in your body, which translates again into better looking skin, a more youthful glow, way better brain power. One of the things that we would get feedback a lot of times in the Oceans Alive was that they have joyful mental energy increase. They're more enthusiastic about life. Actually, the name Activation Products came from the Oceans Alive, because we would just give it to people locally to see what their reaction was. And these aren't even people who are in the health space. These are just people you meet and get to know. Yeah, hey, try this. Tell me what you think. And they would come back with, wow, that gives me like super clear thinking. It made me feel really good. What more can I do for my health? What other stuff do you have? So it was activating people to take action. And that's where the name came from.
And obviously when you're having a small serving, I have it right here in front of me, it was just 17 drops. You're not going to be getting grams and grams of different things, of different like minerals and micronutrients in it. But is it because they're in a more bioavailable form? I think you mentioned nano a couple of times. Is that what's letting them be more effective than like your average mineral salt?
Yeah, yes, definitely. The bioavailability and the biocompatibility. So if you take a look at the electrolytic fluid inside your body, it's like ocean water diluted. So if you cry a tear, what does it taste like? It tastes like 1/3 strength ocean water. It's not as salty as ocean water, but it's still very salty. Same with your sweat. So these are chloride minerals. So the minerals that are in ocean water that are extracted and purified and concentrated, those are chloride minerals. They also support gut health, because you have hydrochloric acid in your stomach for digesting food. So magnesium chloride, hexahydrate specifically, is the kind of magnesium that resonates the best with your body. This is the most biocompatible. That's why we brought in the magnesium chloride hexahydrate transdermal, because you're not just waiting for it to get through your digestive tract and be distributed. You can put it geographically immediately on the body. And that's the most biocompatible form of magnesium. You mentioned magnesium oxide. Well, it doesn't absorb at all. The cool thing about magnesium oxide, though, is if you take it and take some lemon juice or some citric acid, I prefer lemon juice, it'll create ozone in your body, which is really good because ozone gets rid of carbon monoxide. So you can buy an ozone machine and do insufflation. You can do all these different cool things with an ozone machine, which I have. But internal ozone that you produce inside your system is super cool, especially when it gets down into the colon, because then it goes up into the liver through that ganglia of vein, that vein network, and distributes into your bloodstream even quicker. So these are very cleansing type of things. But the biocompatible one, magnesium chloride hexahydrate, people feel it right away, gives them far deeper sleep, works with the autonomic nervous system, allows the body to go and rest and digest way faster. And it's magnesium chloride hexahydrate inside the Ocean's Live with all the other chloride minerals, which is, they estimate between 70 and 80 minerals that are in that ocean mineral concentrate at any given time. But it's a natural product, so the ratios can change around a little bit.
Yeah. Well, for anyone tuning into the video version, I just had a dropper full, a shot of the recharge minerals, and it definitely woke me up. I feel a little more here and present right now. Ian, I have the Ease Magnesium also, and I've been using it for a while. I've actually been using magnesium topically for like 13 years. It was like the first form of magnesium I started taking, and I started taking it because it was the only form of magnesium that I could actually feel. I tried it once, and I'm like, oh, after a football game where I played offense, defense, special teams, didn't leave the field the whole game, my muscles were tired and aching, I put on topical magnesium, and all of a sudden I felt relief within seconds to minutes. And then I thought that was just the best kind out there. And then eventually I came across yours, and I realized, oh, there's no itchiness, no like burning sensation when I apply it. And I didn't realize that was possible. I thought magnesium topically applied always had that issue.
Right. Yeah, that's because of the purity of it. And it's also, so that's called USP grade magnesium chloride hexahydrate that took us years to find the company out of Europe that produced it at that purity level. And then we bring it in and we put it through a 12-hour process where it gets energized through a special machine we made that is using, if you ever heard of Victor Schauberger, using his technology, that it absolutely increases the energetic and the bioavailability part of the product. So then it's much more dynamic. The body is just more compatible. It has a signature to it that works even better. And because of the purity of it, you don't get that itchy, scratchy feel from the other magnesium chlorides that are out there that have many other different elements in it. And they're not brought down to that super nano form to be able to get into the pores of your skin and through the hair follicles.
Whenever someone name drops Victor Schauberger, I know that they know their stuff, and that alone is a testament to quality.
Yep. Yeah, Victor was an interesting guy. They actually invented jet engines from his discoveries as a forester in the Alps.
Yeah, it's incredible that this guy who didn't even have a full education was able to pioneer so much, and he proposed ideas around water science that we're still catching up to this day.
Right. Yeah, all the vortexes and just the energy and the levitation properties of water that allow fish to swim up a waterfall. It's not just taking a running jump. It's like literally propelling themselves somehow in the water that's coming down a mountain, which is full of levitation energy, apparently. But yeah, I mean, it's pretty woo-woo to people, but there's definitely science behind it.
Well, he also breaks down the physics behind it in his book. Like I read one called The Water Wizard, and that was what got me interested in water. And it's like a multi-100-page book just on water and the qualities and the physics of water and how light and piping and like, I guess just the way we like process water, how that all impacts like the impact it has on human biology, and not even just human biology, just water in general and the way it affects all life.
Right. Yeah. I mean, without water, the world is gone. Without air, all these things and keeping them in their optimal state as best as possible, considering the fact that water goes through a lot of trauma. By the time it gets put into someone's house, it's gone through all the wrong ways and then it's got to be purified, and then it's got to be remineralized, and it's got to be optimized. If you look behind me, you can see an egg-shaped water container, right? And that's all based on what Schauberger discovered, where you have the constant vortex of the energy within the egg, and it doesn't form algae. It doesn't go stale. It's constantly energizing, just like an egg is the symbol of life and regeneration.
He was talking about that specifically. He was mentioning even the vessel the water is stored in. If you put it in a box, then the vortices and everything, like those cause issues, and they cause the water to like develop algae and to, as he called it, decay faster.
Right. Yeah, the flow of energy is everything. So the egg has that. And, even though it costs quite a bit to make them, the company that I bought them from, I bought those like 16 years ago. And I only used them periodically. And then I had 4 of them. And then finally I had one complete set left, and all the other pieces got kind of scattered around. And that was the one that I just pulled out recently and set it up perfectly. And we use it here all the time, and it'll be there as a permanent fixture. And it was like, yeah, okay. You think it's not much, but it really does make a difference. And it's just something that people can use. I don't even know if the company makes it anymore. It's made out of Europe. I'd have to look it up.
One other substance I want to talk to you about, because that has gotten a lot of attention as of late, but you've been talking about it for a while. That is black seed oil, or black cumin oil, I think it's also called. What made you fascinated by it?
Well, I first started hearing about it in 2009. That was when I first heard of it. I tried it, didn't like the taste of it. It was way ahead of its time. There was almost no one doing it at all at that point. And then so it sort of lagged. And then in 2013, we got into really high technology oil pressing. This originated out of Germany originally. And then since then, we've improved it a lot. But in 2013, I was also told, hey, there's a thing called black cumin seeds. And when you press them, it's like a whole body tonic on the inside of the body. And on the outside, it works with skin and hair. It's remarkable for just overall health inside and out. And we should press it. And so with this new technology, we found out we could press the highest quality without damaging the oil. And so we were one of the pioneers that came out with it at that time. But it had to be certified organic, which is more challenging to find. And we were just, slowly started introducing it more and more. We got it out in the market, and we started getting a ton of really good feedback on it. So we were that's 12 years ago. So we've been doing this for 12 years. We produced very significant amounts of it, and we put it in Miron glass to get it out to the market so that it's even energized, more stabilized with ultraviolet glass, it's called. You look it up as Miron, Miron. It's a company out of Europe. It's the only company in the world that makes this glass. It's a little more expensive to purchase, but it's worth doing that because of the high quality oil. So when we press it, we don't allow any kind of aberrations from the time that it's harvested to how it's harvested, to packaged, to pressed, to stored, to packaged. So we make sure that everything is at the highest quality. And then people notice quite a difference in taste, texture, smell, results. But black cumin seed oil supports really high quality gut health. Very good for dental. You only just swish it for about a minute when you take it. That helps to keep your dental situation super clean. Goes into your gut, supports really good digestion. A lot of people gave feedback that they were getting rid of all kinds of different symptomatic things that I don't necessarily list because it'll make a claim. But then when it goes through there, it becomes a whole body tonic. So it helps to keep the organs clean, supports the liver health. Pancreas very much supports the pancreas to keep the blood sugar, in a supported way. So it promotes and supports good blood sugar health. And then it works with your kidneys, works with the lungs, and of course the heart, the brain, because it's going in and it's unplugging the body from a lot of the things that people get plugged up with because of packaged foods and adulterated seed oils. I don't touch adulterated seed oils because they're very inflammatory to the body and they plug the body up. These are therapeutic, unadulterated seed oils that are very, very pro-life, right? Pro-health. And so you only need a small amount of it, very concentrated. And you get used to the taste, because when you first taste it, it's a bit spicy and it's a little annoying because it'll clean up the back of your throat. But within a couple of weeks, it's like, that's good. And then people start to enjoy it and crave it. So yeah, black cumin seed oil, commonly known as black seed, is now actually trending more and more. And in the health category, people are finding about how effective it is.
I saw a big surge in searching for it and popularity back in, I want to say around 2022. And I won't make any health and medical claims here either, but there's probably a reason that was the time. I'm also not one to make or to reduce like medicinal substances down to one active ingredient, because I recognize these elixirs have all kinds of bioactives in them that we don't even fully comprehend yet. Is there one particular ingredient, like I think thymoquinone or something, that's like considered to be the main driver of black seed oil?
That's right. Everybody likes to focus on that and make their claim we have the most of this and that. And yes, thymoquinone is a very important part of the black cumin, but there are multiple other areas. And like you said, the synergistic things that are in there, chemically, because really everything has at the end of the day a chemical breakdown, but these are natural organic compounds that have a chemical structure to them, and they work in synergy. And there's all these emollients and solvents that are in there, because you could get a sticker on something that you want to remove the label from, and you can use these oils, put it on there, and it dissolves the glue because it's a solvent. So that's where it goes in and really unplugs the body from all the things that do plug people up over time. So yeah, the black cumin seed oil, that's kind of like the queen of oils out there, because it has all the, Cleopatra's secret. And,
I was gonna say, you didn't even mention the historical usage of black seed oil.
Yeah, it's like from Middle East makes the claim that cures everything except for death. And I would joke around and say, well, it cures death as well, but it doesn't really cure anything, because even the word cure is not a good term, because your body will heal itself. So it promotes and supports multiple health improvements within your body. But the only way you know is by using it. And you just have to apply it and watch for yourself what it's going to do. And you don't have to have a special, unique background or genetics for it to work. It's one of those functional, foundational things that works across the board for everyone who consumes it.
If you don't have any nagging health concerns, are there any things in particular you would expect to notice? Like if, for example, you have a strong reaction to the taste the first time you try it, does that mean that it's more or less effective? Would you expect to feel it more in your throat? Like what's the timeline for someone who's new to it?
Well, most people notice it in the back of the throat, that it kind of burns a little bit in the back of the throat. That's what I didn't like. I was like, oh man, is this oil okay? Yeah, it's perfectly fine. Just keep doing it. Because if it burns, it might be rancid, but I knew it wasn't rancid because we test our stuff and there's zero rancidity. So when I first started taking it, I was told, oh no, just take it. It might take a little while and then that'll go away. And sure enough, it was about 2 weeks. But I'd often had a lot of tonsil and throat issues in my life up to that point. And from then on, there was no more issues. And it really did clean up, because that's quite fleshy back there with different pockets, especially around the tonsils. And so it took about 2 weeks, and then that was no more burning. But it literally kind of burnt a little bit. But that's because of the spice factor. So yeah, there's an acclimation in adapting to the taste, just an acquired taste.
Is there a protocol of like use? You mentioned 2 weeks. I'm guessing that's daily usage. And then after, say, you get through that period, would you back down like every other day? Is this going to interfere with, say, like the hormetic process of exercise or anything?
No, it only complements everything. Really, it's just 1 teaspoon a day. And it's just ongoing. And it's only after, you have to have a meal, pick any meal you want. Just 1 teaspoon, switch for a minute. You can put it in the back of your throat for a bit and gargle it if you want. Wash it down with a tiny bit of water. And that's it. And so that's the maintenance. If a person's quite ill, they will do that 3 times a day for like 90 days. And that's it. Then they can drop down to once. But, sometimes people are just dealing with a lot of congestion, a lot of toxicity, or a lot of microbial overload. This is definitely going to support the body's ability to get rid of parasites. It's not just anti-parasitic, bringing the systems up to this, that the parasites aren't happy to live in anymore, and then they leave. They don't just die. When you go and start killing parasites, you can get pretty sick. You just want the parasites to leave by creating an environment that they don't need to thrive in anymore and they're not happy in. And the reason parasites show up is because there's stuff in your system that needs to be gotten rid of. And so they're chewing it up and crapping in your system, and that'll make you sick if you get overwhelmed. You just want to create an environment where those microbial things leave.
You mentioned being concerned about other seed oils, and one of the big reasons is because they go rancid, and when you drink them, a lot of oxidative stress results. Have you guys done stability testing on your oils to make sure they don't, like 2 weeks later after you buy them, go rancid?
We do major stability tests, not only in-house, but also third party. It's essential to know, like when you're pressing them, if you press them incorrectly, if you have heat, grinding, shearing, friction, that opens up the molecules of the seed oil. That's why you can see immediate difference in the color, the texture, the taste, and the overall shelf stability. And like how long is that going to last without going rancid? Because seed oils will eventually go rancid, but it takes years in the circumstance where we have. It takes days or hours in other circumstances. If it's sheared and the molecular cells are broken, then the oxidation can come in and cause the rancidity. So these are lipid peroxide tests. We have to test everything thoroughly, but not only in-house, because we have our whole lab in-house to test. You can't rely on that because that's us testing. It's like the fox watching the hen house. So we have to have third-party testing all the time on every product that we have to ensure that a third party is validating what we know is true. And then if there isn't a test that passes, we have to know, then we would have to make a correction. And over the years, we've had to make some corrections because sometimes the quality is not there in the raw material. And so that has to be sent back. So you're checking every step of the way. Like one of the most important people in our business, his name is Olaid, and he does total QA, quality assurance, quality control. And he's at the helm of that. He's been there for many years. And so we get checked by government authorities that come in and do audits. You know, in Canada, it's Health Canada. In the United States, it's FDA. And so they have to come in and you have to open everything up to them and they check everything. They're there for like 3 or 4 days and even longer if required. But we get very high scores. The last FDA check we had for the audit was 97%. And we want to have, you know, it's close to 100. They always have to find some little thing in the building that wasn't right, or there's some pail sitting there that didn't have the right marking on it or something. But 97% score is very, very high. We have 100% on all the products as far as the stability and the validity of the products are where we say they are.
And this might seem like a little nitpicky detail, but I have ordered bulk black cumin seed oil, my first purchase ever. It arrived, I tried it, and I'm like, oh, this has like a really unpleasant, strong taste. And I didn't know if it was good oil or it was the way it was supposed to taste. And it turns out it was, after I got yours and tried it alongside, they both tasted strongly. Yours had like a more natural taste to it. The other one had a more like synthetic chemically taste. And I'm glad that I tried that because oils can be either extremely therapeutic and healing, or they can be very destructive and damaging depending on the quality and the process going on behind the scenes.
Yeah, so there's many cofactors that are attributed. So it's like anything. You could have 15 steps, and if you blow one of the steps, you can wreck the whole thing. So it's just a matter of, that's the quality assurance, quality control side of it. Just to make sure, because what I want for me, I should want for you. And we demand the highest quality, and therefore we have to produce the highest quality. And I'm not going to sit around and wait for a government agency to tell me how high to jump. I want to jump higher than they're actually asking based upon the principle of doing the right thing, because it actually is easier long-term to do the right thing up front, because then you're not trying to catch up on something that you missed. And we just learned that, and it actually costs less to make something higher quality than more when you do it right. And it's an interesting paradox.
Well, Ian, we've been going for a while. We'll start to wind this one down. If people want to connect with you personally or to try activation products, how do they go about that?
Well, you can find us through, any links that you share in your show notes, but we have activationproducts.com as the main website. And, we recommend definitely links to make sure you get the best possible pricing. On Instagram, it's Ian Clark Activated. We have a lot of free educational material there. We're on TikTok, Ian Activated. We have a little bit of postings on X, which is formerly Twitter. I don't know why they changed it to X. X is like crossed out. Too bad. Anyway, yeah, we definitely be found on social media platforms.
Perfect. And your team was generous enough to set up a code for my audience. If they use Urban, that should save them 15% on their order. So thank you for that. Before we wind this one all the way down, do you have any parting wisdom, any final thoughts you'd like to share with listeners?
Yeah, the main thing that I like to share with everyone is what you say about yourself is going to really dictate what shows up. And it's not like being delusional or being in denial. You may have different health issues that you're dealing with, depending on how old you've got or how much, things have happened. But the reality is the older you get, the better you should become because you're becoming more knowledgeable. And so I like to say, I am perfectly healthy, and make that as a statement of claim, not a goal per se. I used to say, well, that's a good goal. But if you set a goal, that's in the future. But if you make a statement of claim, that means right now. Now, you might have symptoms that are not saying that you're perfectly healthy, but your body is going to begin to go in that direction. You're going to get the support you need. The people are going to show up in your life, the different tools, the different elements, the different nutrients, the different protocols, the different modalities will continuously show up to manifest perfect health. Because anything less than that, why would you do that? If you can claim perfect health, claim it. And then you're encouraged, and you're encouraging yourself, and you're building courage, and you're building joy, and you're getting more stamina. You're actually getting healthier in every single category of your life, every single second of every day, instead of less healthy as you get older.
And once you start going down deeper along that path, then the things that seem like they don't work, like figuring out what your intuition wants you to consume, whereas before it's polluted by like the toxins within your body, you're able to actually like listen to those messages and eliminate some of the confusion that goes along because you're getting more clear signals from your biology about what works and what doesn't.
Right. And your body will listen to what you say.
Yeah.
And if the doctor says you have some horrible disease and then you say that about yourself, your body listens and agrees.
Yeah.
So anything that's projected upon you that is not progressing you forward, don't accept, and just always say things that are going to be propelling you forward in a positive manner.
Well, thank you so much for joining me today. It's been a blast chatting with you and exploring your journey and what you've helped bring into the world.
Yeah, well, thank you, Nick. It's been a pleasure. And we'll look forward to our future conversations.
Me too.
Thanks for tuning in to High Performance Longevity. If you got value today, the best way to support the show is to leave a review or share it with someone who's ready to upgrade their health span. You can find all the episodes, show notes, and resources mentioned at outlier.com. Until next time, stay energized, stay bioharmonized, and be an outlier.